Hello and welcome. We have another Ori and the Blind Forest race today for you. And today we're actually racing 0 XP. Baron and Noxitu wanted to do a race, so we asked them, hey, why not broadcast it? And here we are. I'm Sam, and 2Kill is joining me here for commentary. Jill, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm excited for a nice race of a category we don't usually see. The last run that we got onto the leaderboard was like 2 years ago, before Noxitu decided to give the category a chance. And here we are, because Baron was like, hey, wanna meet in the Sunken Glades and we can fight this off? So let's see how this goes.
Yeah. So 0 XP, as you mentioned, quite a bit of a different route. The one most obvious thing being in the name, if you pick up a single experience orb, your run is invalid. But also, this is as close to glitchless as we get with our Ori categories. We're calling it selected restrictions instead, but still not gonna see all of those save glitches, and especially not gonna see any out of bounds or any shenanigans like that. And for one of our two runners, we're not even gonna see dash.
Yeah, our runners are choosing very different routes right from the get-go. Cereberon will not get into Blackroot Burrows, but instead take the way all around up until he gets to Hollow Grove and just interesting tricks that he is quite famous for. And Noxitu will get into Blackroot Burrows to acquire that dash, so it will be a bit of an interesting race, just because it will not be a real race. It will be Noxitu trying to catch up time with that dash towards Baron. Because, well, if you don't have dash, you can dash, and dash is fast, as we all know. So let's see how that goes. And Noxitu takes that Spirit Well because he will use it later on to get into Blackroot. So for now, already a bit different, but not much in time. So as we get sign, because that is still allowed, you're still allowed to take sign, we will see no difference here.
So we have a very standard style of opening. Get our sign. In Noxitu's case, get the teleporter beforehand. We don't want to grab the teleporter with sign, because killing those brambles drops dangerous XP all over the ground, and not killing the brambles would mean we would enter the entire glades area with 1 health instead of 3, sign giving us that refill. So we get that first, and now we do a bit of a start here, and Baron not quite happy getting that XP off the platform. Nicely done. We're still on 0. Looks like Noxitu also has. Oh my god! All right, we're good. These two are professionals at the category, and with that we can now go to our first Bramble Wall. Wanna damage boost through that, because as mentioned, killing one of these just drops XP everywhere. We don't want that. And with this we can finally do a more classic part here.
Yeah, and
the first keystone door.
However, we will not see a ghost door, because that is a death on Baron's side. He has mentioned that a death in the first 5 minutes just feels the absolute worst, because you can't save. Because yet another point of the category is you can't get any extra energy cells. Wouldn't matter at this point anyway, but especially later on, that will be very interesting to see how to navigate the saves and everything. But yeah, that meant he got sent all the way back towards that Frankie fight, whereas Noxitu got through, didn't collect a single XP on the way, so is good to go, and got through. And as I was trying to say, no ghost door to be seen, because that is still selected restrictions, and yeah, dying to glitch out the door is not glitchless or selected in any way, so no seeing that anywhere.
This time Baron deciding to take it a bit slower, and as I say that, he just YOLOs it, barely manages to not pick up the XP, almost falls into the XP that flew all the way to the ground, but remembers to jump over that. And Noxitu actually now has a pretty substantial lead here, getting to wall jump 3. One thing, as you mentioned, we're not gonna see the extra energy cell, we're not gonna see any 4 HP or anything like that. This is basically as close to low percent as you're gonna get here, low percent glitchless in a sense. So instead we're going right back, heading back towards Spirit Caverns.
Yeah, and I do believe Noxitu will go all the way through, collect the teleporter, and then head back to get that dash, as mentioned. And there's another instance of using the iframes to get through the brambles, just as Baron does it on another spot. So, especially in the early game, there was XP on Baron's side, needs to reload, but no problem, that does not send him all the way back. But yeah, as you mentioned, Noxitu now on his way through Spirit Caverns, because yeah, we can't Frankie Walk, because Frankie Walk would require a level up, and level ups require experience, so nothing to see there.
The level ups do require experience, and also a Frankie Walk would kinda require 2 energy instead of 1. Both things we can't do in this category. So there is only one route left, which is the casual route, and here we see Noxitu actually opening up Spirit Caverns in my speedrun. I'm just so happy.
Yeah, that is a very rare occasion we'll get through. And yeah, you can see it's slow movement and tedious, but he will get that dash soon enough. As Baron also got through the Brambles wall, now needs to get up the Trojan lock. Just swing a bit too far. Oh no, you can do it, Baron. No, decides to go all the way around, which is absolutely fine. Doesn't lose too much, and can now follow into Noxitu's step. Wow, that Frankie scared me.
Yeah, Baron now kinda on 1 HP, so gonna need to be a bit careful with that. We saw Noxitu take a lot more than 1 damage boost on the way up, so let's hope everything will be fine. Baron actually needing to push the rock. On the right side, we actually see the growth cutscene. Can't open as save anywhere, since we don't have ability points anyway, but even if we could and did have ability points, save anywhere very much is banned under selected restrictions. So we actually watched this cutscene. That also means we do get the teleporter activation, however, which means we can teleport back downwards whenever we want to.
Yeah, and there comes into play that Noxitu did take that teleporter in Glades and can just use it and head into Blackroot Burrows via that. So he doesn't even need to take down the Brambles, and Baron on the left waiting for the XP to despawn. Yeah, waiting strats are definitely something we can expect in some parts of the category, because sometimes you just need to kill an enemy to be able to pass, and yeah, despawning either happens via reloading or just waiting, because the game just decides, yeah, if you don't want to pick it up, we'll take it. So now can go through as we see some lore, which, like, actually I love this category just for the lore, because we basically get to see everything that isn't Lost Grove.
Well, I'm just gonna put okay on that. I personally prefer not to watch cutscenes, but hey, if it's other people doing it in the speedrun, I'm fine with that. And now Noxitu actually is in Blackroot, getting pretty well under those slimes, and here's one of those instances you mentioned, takes a death in the brambles so that the XP won't be there on the way back. Can now go backwards and will need to do the entirety of Blackroot here to obtain that dash. As we mentioned before, Baron is going to skip that. According to his timings, it's actually about 30 seconds faster to not get dash in the category. Just should tell you everything, and getting dash is slower, but as some other people have reminded us, once you start taking deaths and you actually have to replay some sections, that dash time loss can actually vanish really fast. And Noxitu also got ahead of Baron to the teleporter, so let's see how much of a difference and how much of a catch-up there actually will be once Noxitu gets his dash.
Yeah, and that is not the only catch-up play we will see, because, yeah, if you've heard of the term Iceless, you have probably heard about what terror it brings to people, and Baron will actually attempt that, whereas Noxitu will go all the way around Swamp. and we will see how that plays out for either of the runners. But with that, Baron is the first to obtain Church Flame, and you need Church Flame to progress towards the right side, since we can't go through that 4 energy door. So with that, also needs to be very careful, because we still only have 1 energy and no Charge Flame efficiency. So every time you cast a Charge Flame, you spend an energy. So Baron taking that time to take that energy obviously needs to pull the lever as well, but needs to remember that he can't save if he uses Charge Flame.
True, Charge Flame and saves, you can only get one or the other, or an energy crystal, and then you get both. But seeing how there are a few more vaults left that we first need to get rid of, I don't think we're gonna see saves anytime soon. On the right, Noxitu has actually reached the dash tree. He will now get his new mobility as Baron enters Spider Sack. Ready to get up, get actually that energy refill to drop it down. Can't do any power slow shenanigans or something like that to skip that in selected restrictions either. And then we continue up to Swarm. Meanwhile, Noxitu already back at the teleporter. So yeah, I'm actually wondering if we're gonna see a catch up in Grotto already.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Also, one thing to point out, usually runners don't use the Rainbow Dash that Noxitu is using. Oh no, takes a death, but that's safe. Definitely a thought ahead there. But my point being is that usually Rainbow Dash isn't used because the Charge Dash doesn't have the normal sound. However, in this category, since we don't get any XP or level, we don't get Charge Dash. So the missing sound doesn't matter at all, and that's a nice replay of some really nice movement right as we get to that Iceless. So yeah, Baron has said that he tried to get Iceless today. The first time it took him 7 minutes, the second time it took him only 1 minute. So let's see. He started at about 10:30, so let's see how long it will take him. This is a trick that, if done for the first time, can take you hours, for sure.
Hours or days even, yeah, so and everyone who has tried this jump knows how painful it is. What did people say? A double frame and pixel perfect on the turnaround and jump off point here. You wanna get barely onto that wall up there and then wall jump up it, but as you can see, it is very precise and can take quite a few attempts, but there Baron gets it. So hey, up we go.
Now he needs to dodge both the slime XP and the XP there, but so gets over there, and Noxitu took a death, I believe, so got sent to the Charge Flame tree. So that is good news to Baron as well. Getting the trick within a minute, or with just slightly over a minute, definitely props to him. This is extremely hard, and he is now in Grotto, so let's see if he is the first to leave as well. But it's looking good, because Noxitu still has the entirety of Grove and Swamp to do, and he can't do any safe shenanigans to get through, because, as mentioned, we have Charge Flame that we need to use, and we have no way of skipping cutscenes or anything. And also, one other thing is, about this category that I really like, we get to see the Grotto mini-boss.
Oh, that is true. We can't just we cannot key dupe, and we can't just take a keystone from place and use it in here. So we actually need to fight the mini boss, and while fighting it, not pick up the XP that it drops in the end. One nice Charge Flame redirect. Now getting a refill here on the crystal and going for the second Charge Flame redirect. Misses the redirect, so we'll have to drop back down. Get some sign action going there to get rid of our nice jumping shark. Actually does not trigger it on the last cycle here, but now the boss is gone and the keystone is for us to keep.
Yeah, and in the meantime, Noxitu went all across Iceless, not even looking at it, and yeah, Baron got lucky with the pattern of the XP, because sometimes the XP just drops in a way that you can't dodge it, but he was able to dodge it, but it still gets crushed, absolutely no problem. The game saves after you defeat the mini-boss, so gets through it again as Noxitu is entering swamp and looking at Kumo taking out the water vein. He's actually gonna collect it in the Sign Says order, whereas Cereberon, of course, did not go there yet and has already collected the water. No, has not quite yet collected the water vein, but is getting there.
Indeed, and well, that is one of the cutscenes that actually doesn't lose Noxitu time here from getting dash, because hey, if we wanna go to Ginso, we gotta watch that one way or another, if now or later. The other thing, however, is yeah, this kinda mortar puzzle adjacent thing where you break open all of this and then the wall at the end. We could skip all of that with a single rekindle. Sadly, that requires both a trick that's not in selected restrictions as well as an ability point. And we also need to get our lasers activated here. So yeah, selected restriction means here we get to watch extra stuff on top of having the longer road with without Iceless, so that's where all that time save comes into play. And you can see Noxitu now dropping down into Grotto as Baron is starting to track back up, having just picked up double jump.
Yeah, and you can just see that Baron has that slow movement where he just can jump and double jump and try to not hit the ground, and the unevenness of walking on it, whereas Noxitu can just dash everywhere. So catching up time as he goes, literally as he goes, and Baron now going to not pick up that energy cell, because yet again we will finish with 1 energy cell and 3 HP. Let's see if Noxitu on the right can get the redirect here on the mini-boss. No, also didn't quite get it, so also needs to get back down and smack that mini-boss with Sign a bit more. Does not quite get it in 2 cycles as Baron gets up the Grotto walls and is not even bothering with Baguette Jump, just accepts that he does not belong in those circles as Noxitu. Also, with that dash, has a way easier time to skip over that XP.
So I really like the safety save before Grotto skip there, because if either the lock starts swinging too much or you accidentally hit that 15 XP, otherwise you would be all the way back at double jump. So loving that. One other thing is we actually get the rock falls here, since we can't skip that. Hey, where have we heard that before? So a bit harder of a climb than it would be, for example, in Orskills, but Baron getting up very, very easily. And yeah, you said it before, he's gonna get Water Vein out of order. It is in Orskills order, definitely not in casual order, and here we are, have a Water Vein, can go back up, and maybe look towards a bash.
Yeah, most powerful skill in the game, and even more powerful in a selected restriction setting, because, well, we don't have charge dash, so dash isn't quite as powerful as you might want it to be. And charge jump is fairly late on the table. We will only get it when we have been through the entirety of Misty and Forlorn and everything else. So yeah, definitely the ability to look out for. And bash glides are allowed after all. Bash and dash glides are a thing you can use to optimize your movement, so we will, especially Baron's, see doing a lot of bash glides and optimizing his double jump and glide movement for exactly that purpose. So even though it might seem like it's a fairly easy route to do, there's a lot of micro optimizations going on that Baron, with his expertise in randomizer and all the categories he has run, will show off for sure.
On the replay we can see Noxitu not going for Baguette Jump, a Beer Jump instead. Sirius would be proud, has opted to join the German team here, but now also kinda going on that catch-up, as we mentioned. Dash obviously took time to get, and now we can use it, especially in areas like it up top where Baron is right now, those horizontal areas, to make up frames and or seconds over time. For now he does have to run behind Baron though, who has just entered the Ginso tree, and look at all these brambles we're absolutely not allowed to collect.
Yeah, let's hope the XP decides to have a nice pattern with falling. Don't want it to fall onto Ori's head, because then we would need to reset and respawn all the way back at the bottom. Of course, the Schema Room in that case, or Schema Room, absolutely no problem, because, well, you can't kill them. That's a good thing for once. And can just double jump and reset double jump through the portals to get up. Takes the upper route because, well, you can, and there's an energy crystal to save in the meantime. As Noxitu is also now in the Ginso tree, so both runners in the same area, and that is an area where Noxitu can't really make up a lot of time, just because it's a very horizontal dungeon. You just go up and never go sideways. And yeah, Baron using the charge flame that we don't usually have here to be a bit quicker about the puzzle. Does not quite catch the cycle though, and the mouse waggles definitely show that he's not too happy about that.
Yeah, but nice redirect on the first round. Barely gets it without touching the ground. So one orb and a half a cycle save there on that redirect. Now gets the puzzle block into the right position for the second round and is at the mini boss. Gonna collect that one energy here because we actually have something that's not just Sign, and that means half the mini boss HP will just evaporate instantly. Now into the second half and just doing the normal, trying to get as many shots as we can in. Also mini boss dying on the left side means the XP will not be a problem at all, so that is very, very nice. And Noxitu actually has caught up. They are one room apart right now, with Noxitu being in the mini-boss fight as Baron is collecting his keystones. So I think at this point Baron needs to really bring his A game here, because he does not have dash, and while it doesn't do that much in the second half of Ginso, afterwards we have a lot of horizontal movement to do.
Oh yeah, definitely. Just thinking about Misty, for example. We all know Misty with dash is a lot of fun, and it's also definitely faster than just jumping around, even if you don't have charge dash or air dash to help you out. So them being one room apart is good news for Noxitu. And just as a side note, Baron hasn't touched this category in a while. He mostly took Noxitu taking up this category as an incentive to learn it again, so has not have a lot of time to prepare, but just said he wanted to have a friendly race and share the excitement about 0 XP. So that's what he is doing right now, and definitely showing it off right now. We'll be happy to have other people see it. I do know that Baron likes to talk about 0 XP a lot, so yeah, great to see him do it again.
It's a very, very interesting category, and every time we look at the Keystone Door, something in my brain wonders why we're not taking a death before I remember, hey, it's selected restrictions. But yeah, now we're both in the mini-boss fight here. You might notice a distinct lack of double bashes from both of our runners. That too is part of the selected restrictions rules, that not allowed to do any double bashes whatsoever. So instead it is now time to do normal Ginso, and part of that also means Ginso is very high, and if enemies die at the top in specific spots, that XP falls very far. For example, directly on top of Ori while we're watching the cutscene afterwards. So gonna need to be careful that that doesn't happen. And Noxitu, I saw a level up explosion, actually will have to reset back to the post mini boss room because he just got a bunch of XP from Frog.
Yeah, he had tried to do the thing that Baron is doing right now, getting the frog up. Has paused for a second, but is back now and gets it without problem. And Noxitu also now on the second attempt is getting through there without a problem. And yeah, another great thing about this category, we get to see both Ginso escape and Forlorn escape, so be on the lookout for that as well. But now, great music to be heard and a great skill to be seen on the side of Baron and Noxitu. Also hot on his heels. Like, we will probably get to see synchronized Ginso escape, or at least both runners in the Ginso escape at the same time.
It depends on how long that core start will take, because Baron not having any problems whatsoever. We get the most vanilla of Ginzo escapes we can have here. No double bashes, no dashing, but is almost through. Gets a nice cycle there on the Frankie. Now just needs to hope that those spiders don't die in a way that that XP right there will fall all the way down. And as Noxitu starts, yep, Baron is now out watching the cutscene, and if everything is fine, we're not gonna see a bunch of XP fall on our heads right here.
Yeah, that would be kind of bad. We would have to redo the entire thing, I think, or just reload. I do believe that the save comes after the save, but I'm not too sure, don't quote me on that. But it's also one of the few categories where we actually get to see swamp swim, so yeah, we will see a bunch of swimming. Not much of in terms of optimizations besides holding A and bashing whatever you can on the way. But yeah, when was the last time you have done a vanilla swamp exit? That is something very rare to see in speedrunning, so very glad to see it right now.
That's true. Basically only ever get that in the most weirdest of rando settings, or in 0 XP right here, since we actually can't keydupe in Ginzo, so we're taking those keystones from below here as the developers intended us to do, and do some swimming. Swimming obviously being good for our health. As long as we don't touch the brambles in it, then it suddenly becomes very bad for our health. But we do have our 2 keystones, so just need to swim back up, and then we can get Stomp and finally look over to the left side of the map.
Yeah, our runners are surely gonna be happy to have left right side. Left side a bit more interesting maybe, or especially on 3 HP where you have to be careful because everything kills you. We all know that from the categories, from other categories we run. 3 HP on the right side is not a great time to be left side is not a great time to be had, so our runners need to be extra careful, especially since they can't save a lot. So it will be interesting to see where they decide to put their safety saves, or saves that they need to do in order to skip some XP and progress. But Baron being the first on Stomp, so Noxitu hasn't fully caught up yet, but as you mentioned, every time that Noxitu dashes, he will catch up some time over Baron.
Yeah, as a wise one once said, picking up dash allows you to dash. Thank you, Richard, for those wisdoms before of the race, and that will add up over time. We see it only like half a minute apart here at Stormtree, as Baron is utilizing mostly bash glides extended with double jumps here to get faster movement, while Noxitu does not need enemies to do that, can just dash wherever he wants to. And that will mean, I think, you know what, I'm just gonna guess it. I'll say it's gonna even up around Feather here.
I wouldn't even be surprised if it took a bit longer, just because on the way to Feather there isn't a lot of opportunity to use that dash beyond Valley Entry, just because, yet again, you have to go up instead of left or right. And without air dash, you can't really do a lot of dashes once you leave the ground. So it will be interesting to see how much he utilizes. And just seeing Baron use bash glides wherever he can is also just amazing to watch. But with that, yeah, both runners in the same area, both in Valley Entry. You might be right, after all.
Yeah, the path until here are kind of very horizontal. Oh, Noxitu not getting his last stomp on the pack though. And one thing I really want to put attention to, look at these bash angles on Baron's side. He doesn't have dash, so he can't do the classic bash ground dash setups for that. And he also doesn't have access to double bashes since they are banned. So all the bash manipulations get just so much more interesting and so much more finicky here. And so far they have been great all over the place. And now, for those of us who were looking forward to Stompless, well, I have bad news about the category rules for you.
I think on Baron's side it would also be kind of hard to get it without that dash. It can of course be done, but it's quite finicky, I've heard. And with that we get to see Stompful and actually get to stomp on the rocks. And, well, we are in the same cutscene. Not quite caught up, but in the same cutscene. Close enough.
Indeed, both our players watching a feather fall slowly onto the ground, getting a bit of a stretch break here as Ori takes way too long to get up. We could have had that feather like 4 seconds ago. And now Baron can use the maximum efficiency bash glides he will have access to, extending it both with glide and with double jump. Sadly, we're not gonna see a triple jump because, again, that would require ability points, which we sure don't have here. But still, we can use this to get glide speed throughout most of Misty. And oh, look at that. That was basically synchronized on the Frankie. Now is where that execution will really matter.
Yeah, definitely. As mentioned, Misty is an area where you can use a lot of the bash glides, but also dashes and dash glides. So yeah, as you can see, Noxitu just got ahead of Baron here, and with every dash that amplifies, where Baron can just jump and run. But with that, of course, if they both if one of them by accident picks up some XP, that means a reload, and yet again they don't have a whole lot of energy to save in between, so that could mean resetting all the way back to the start of Misty. Noxitu making sure to grab that extra energy to be able to save after that cutscene. Baron deciding not to take it, very interesting decision, so he will get sent back a bit more, but don't you worry, there is an energy crystal here and he will use that to save, so no problem there. As yeah, also an area we barely get to see on Noxitu's side, because, well, usually we skip that.
Oh yes, but Baron here, again, one of the... sadly takes the death to the Frankie jumping on top of him. That's always a real danger, but you saw it setting up the frog actually to skip this upper area. Noxitu had to go through with just 2 bashes. We don't need double bashes for this. We might not have charge jump, but that doesn't mean we need to take the upper path. And Baron gets through the lower path in reverse. Also gonna get his climb now. Nicely done. But we saw it right there. Misty on 3 HP is incredibly dangerous, and it only gets more dangerous when you're not allowed to use any charge dashes or double bashes. Instead, we're gonna see some interesting setups here, like this Frankie bash twice upwards and into the bash glide that barely doesn't touch the spikes that would instantly kill us. Nicely done, Noxitu, and can now proceed a very charge dash-less second half of Misty.
Yeah, charge dash and also charge jump. There are a lot of areas where you can just skip the climb puzzles using charge jump. But unfortunately we don't have that yet, so yeah, and Baron seems to be trying to get the same setup that Noxitu did, but the Frankie is a bit of a funny guy right now, does not want to cooperate, but now, oh, different setup actually. That is very interesting to see. Just in general, the creative movement both our runners show is incredible to see, getting around all the restrictions they have to still make this a speed game, because yeah, this is a speed run after all. Every single casual would be way slower than that, and I do believe most of us would be as well. Like, those runners are absolutely excellent right now, and it's great to see just what micro optimizations both runners come up with.
Oh, that's a brutal death though. Gets shot by a mortar, 3 HP, say hello. And with that, our runners are basically tied again in the lantern room here of the second half of Misty. Yeah, as you mentioned, restrictions both breed danger and also creativity here, sometimes in the same section. So Noxitu taking the death here. Hey, luckily he has dashed, so the death isn't quite as harsh as it would be without it. But still, that does mean we basically have tied runners again. And I like that, because with a second death here, that's another lead change. Now Baron needs to hold it, as he stalls in the air, picks up the Fronky upwards without double bashes, and now we're actually gonna see a mini-boss.
Yeah, usually we might be a bit more on the lookout for that specific mini-boss, but now we will see some interesting strategies, especially to avoid those XP, because Let It Rain is a thing that happens there, so Baron making sure to get out of the way as quickly as possible. Will not have to worry about picking it up on the way back, since it will be despawned at this point, but yeah. We see Noxitu using, well, what we may know as Double Bash from Will of the Wisps, maybe. And also now heading into the fight. So we'll make similar ways. Actually uses Stomp to, yeah, and with that dash just gets out of the way quickly enough. So no problem there, as Baron actually carries the orb, because one of the conditions to fulfill this speedrun in particular is to also get all world events, which we would need anyway, because without charge dash, and without double bash, a Sorrow Bash does not seem like a good option.
It is absolutely what would be done if there wasn't an all-world events restriction on it. And hey, if our runners are willing to do Iceless, hi Baron, then they would be willing to do that too, I'm sure. But yeah, as you mentioned, this was actually of... Oh, okay, that's... Never mind, that death was basically nothing. Safety save right there, so... they do add up, but it's just seconds for now. But yeah, what I was alluding to here is this is basically a low percent glitch adjacent vanilla-like run, and that includes getting all world events, which is great because that means we get to hear Forlorn music.
Yeah, everyone just loves Forlorn for its music and for the way it looks. No one actually likes it in their speed game though. Usually in area avoided, even in Rando for the most part, like unless you play Bingo or I don't know, Relics, you usually don't want to be there, but with all the skills we have and everything, we will see some creativeness there as well. Don't expect too much of the orb to be seen. Of course we will need it at places, but yeah, we will get creative for sure on both sides, and Noxitu also now has the Gumon seal, and with that dash, yet again, that is a section where he can use it a lot, especially with the dash glides and everything. We'll make sure to get some time made up compared to Baron, who is now in there, and yeah, that stomp is important for later, because we need to do cat and mouse, or the hide and seek sequence as well, so better have that out of the way for them.
True, that right storm actually not part of selected restrictions. Hey, if you look in the code, it explicitly says yes, these walls can be stormed. Fun fact for those who don't dig around in that. But that means the wall will not come back later on when you actually start the hide and seek sequence, so we can just do that a little bit faster. For now, however, we still have an entire dungeon to do. Baron watching the orb cutscene as Noxitu is getting told by an orb that there's another orb here in this dungeon that is all about carrying an orb through it. And speaking of which, we actually do not have a way to skip this part, so slow walking and into spikes! Value safety save after the cutscene, but yeah, that hurts a bit. That means we're basically tied again in this dungeon here. One good thing, it is about carrying an orb, so can't dash while holding an orb, so that's not gonna be any time safe here.
Okay, drinking game for anyone watching. Drink something every time Xem says orb. Be careful though. Like, if you use water, you're perfectly fine. For everything else, I'm not accountable. But yeah, with that being said, it is kind of an auto-scroller for now. We need to get all the keystones as well, so nothing that can be skipped. As I said, there will be some creative movement, and Noxitu also takes a timely death here, so that death from Baron earlier doesn't weigh too heavy, but yeah, as I mentioned, there's some crazy stuff happening, like, yeah, what Baron does on the left, which is quite interesting to have to figure that out without charge jump or anything else.
Yeah, definitely. Well, this is casual strats, right? Everyone has done it like that. Maybe
Totally.
utilize the grenade instead, but yeah, as you mentioned, hey, this is still a speedrun, and we're gonna use all of the things we have available here, including those respawn items. And almost gets on that. Actually, I have to admit, I did not know about this strat, so nice. I'm gonna steal that.
Yeah, will be interesting to see where you can put it to use with that very specific use case. But for now, yeah, we have Baron one keystone in the lead essentially, and yeah, both runners making quick work of Forlorn after all. Even Baron without that dash, as you mentioned, it's not that useful in this dungeon because you can't dash while holding the orb, and yeah. Noxitu getting the frog out of the way because this one is especially annoying. I think it deals like 5 damage when it hits you or something ridiculous like that.
Sounds about right from my random experience. It's definitely way too much. I don't want to get hit by it at any point. So getting that out of the way. Oh my god, get sniped across the corner with the laser, and the last save, he did skip the spirit well, so no safety save there. That was a huge death, and now Baron has a pretty sizable lead here as he is already turning in his orb and now gets to do the Orbless Orb Dungeon.
Yeah, of course the rest of the dungeon doesn't really require the orb. We will not go towards the right after the stomp, where you wouldn't need it anyway, but yeah, skipping that, so all left to do is to activate the escape, watch some cutscenes, because yet again we can't really skip them, and yeah, go out of Forlorn again. So nice to see you, area we don't usually see, but it was nice knowing you. Oh, Noxitu scared me with those cycles, that was way too close for comfort.
Yeah, I think at this point, Noxitu is greeting a bit on these cycles, probably feeling a bit behind. As far as I know, they don't watch each other during the race, but still, after those deaths, you wanna make up some time, and if that means stomping right into a laser, then I guess Noxitu will do that, as he has now also finished his orb. Baron, however, on the left side, having a bit of trouble climbing up to Wind Restored there, but now it is time for the final escape. We see the least out of all of them, and some really, really beautiful music.
Yeah, everyone settle in and enjoy it, and I actually do like that our runners have that time difference right now, because that means we get to see it at least twice. I'm not sure if we get to hear it twice, but we at least get to enjoy it once. So Baron, I don't want to influence you to die on specific points, but that is the best point you can die on right now. We would all appreciate some more Fallen music, but of course it's also great if he just gets through without any deaths here.
Yeah, Fallen in this escape will actually be very, very, very similar to what you would do in your casual playthrough, just dodging a bunch of spikes. However, one thing you can't really do when you're on 3 HP is just damage tanking through these steam jets here, and Baron making it very close here now, bashing into the wall, and that bash climbing gets bonked on the ceiling. So here's your wish. That is one death in the Fallen escape, which means Noxitu one cutscene away here, having caught up a little bit as Baron attempts on his second try here. Let's see if he goes for the bash glide strat yet again. Does seem to be going for it, and this time doesn't bonk on the ceiling, does not lose his glide as the rocks fall. He does not die. Can now get into the second half, but did some damage from the icicles, so really doesn't want to get hit by those steam jets here. Just one more block in the way. Will he hide in the corner or just fly through? Flies through, nicely done. And hello Burp Nest, it is time to say hi to Kuga.
And we get to see some lore while Noxitu is also in the escape. Let's see if he can make up that time without a death, as we get to see Some would say it's the best cutscene. I would not agree with that. It's a very sad cutscene. I usually don't want to watch it, but here we go. And Noxitu gets through the first half, no problem. Uses some dash glides to speed it up. As oh, actually, you can skip that cutscene. Never mind me. Remembering which cutscenes you can actually skip via the menu is kind of hard if you're just used to skipping everything. Anyway, but now on to some instant death things that will be easier for Noxitu because he has that dash yet again. So we might see both runners in the escape or in this escape sequence at the same time, actually.
True, and here Baron has to angle his bash incredibly carefully. Look at all that XP, and oh my god, that our dodges nicely done. Yeah, this area is very much timed around you not having dash, so we barely go through here not utilizing that at all. Baron getting through first try, nicely done. Doesn't take this spider XP, does not get swooped down by Kuro, and can now utilize actual restored wind in our speedrun here to enter Sorrow the way the developers intended. But look on the right, Noxitu has dash. That means none of these intended mechanics really matter at all, seeing how he can just dash. Also gets very nice XP drop RNG here, and can now dash his way to victory on the final stretch. And there we go, rock falls, and now it's just time for both runners to go up to Sorrow.
Yeah, and no Sorrow Bash. Yet again, we have that wind restored, so we can just slowly glide up there. No charge dash. Also means no rocket jump, which wouldn't even be allowed in the selected restrictions run. But with that, we see some synchronized glides here on either side. Of course, fairly slow, but also means our runners get to yeah, relax a bit, because Sorrow, it will be interesting as well, at least on Noxitu's side. I do believe he's going for the frog micro ledge, whereas Baron has mentioned he will use a tumbleweed, which I've heard makes some people very happy.
Oh yeah, I approve. So there are two main ways to do this fast while also obeying selected restrictions. One, we're going to see on Baron's side, where he does the first half of Sorrow the intended way, or rather semi-intended, because no one knows what that keystone above is actually meant to do. We're going this way instead. Honestly, in my casual playthrough, I did not find the upper keystone before I was in here. But on the other side, Noxitu is gonna attempt to get this frog on a very specific micro ledge. If you've seen our skills, you know how we utilize a rocket jump here to get the frog to shoot. Instead, Noxitu is gonna get him on the micro ledge first try. Oh my god, that was beautifully done, and with that he is in the second half of Sorrow already. And yeah, Baron is gonna take a while to get there, seeing how he doesn't have double bashes or anything like that. As long as Noxitu does not take a death to these 4 damage spikes while being on the 3 HP, you get to be in this category. Now Baron, however, will take a bit longer here, still has to stomp a pack. Luckily that also means that our XP is gonna despawn sooner. And now we're trying to get this tumbleweed out. You know, double bashes means we kinda need to glide stall here, and now we need to we wait for the XP to despawn and then put the tumbleweed on the laser, stomp the wind current open on the right side, and then pull it out, and now we can finally go into Upper Sorrow, as Noxitu already picked up charge jump and can now do this second half the intended way.
Yeah, we get to see a lot of intended. Oh, okay. Baron with that safety save before Dorito spikes will not lose a lot of time, and Noxitu now going towards that sandstone. You all better be prepared for some lore, because we need that sandstone to get into Mount Horu, and we can't skip the cutscenes, so yeah, some more lore coming up, as Baron also now collecting his charge jump. So yeah, maybe a minute of difference, depending on how well Baron gets through as Noxitu is approaching that. But there is a final dungeon between our runners and the end of the run that needs to be fully completed. Because remember, we can't door walk because it's selected restrictions. We can't save drop because we don't have anything to get our save off. And now, yeah, Baron, that is a very cool strategy I've never seen, and very cool use of a tumbleweed for sure. Uses the tumbleweed to charge dash off of it to get through that barrier without having to wait. That is, wow, very cool.
Get those wiggins. Baron being as happy about that tumbleweed existing as I am, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I love that strategy. Just break open the second floor just by getting the tumbleweed up there, then jumping on it and riding the wind currents by just standing on it, charging up your charge jump, and you just get to fly through the ceiling. And even better, once you finished your bathroom break, made yourself breakfast, ate some dinner later that day, get a shower in, and then watch the second half of the Sunstone cutscene, your tumbleweed will still be there.
Ooh, nice. So we will get to see some more tumbleweed action, is what you're implying? Or at least we get to look at it, right?
We get to look at it. It's still there. It will be by our side on the way back to give us some counseling after we just had to watch this gigantic cutscene. Speaking of which, Noxitu is done with it. That means we can now head out of Sorrow here, and we kinda do want, as you mentioned, to do an entire dungeon before we can actually finish the game. Yeah, door warp is not allowed. Save drops are neither allowed nor possible in this category. So all that we really have as an option here is to do the entire dungeon top to bottom. And hey, we barely have any safety saves. Really, the only safety saves we're gonna get are the room completion saves, and every hit is going to kill us. So let's see if Noxitu can close this out, or if there will be an unfortunate death in any of these rooms, because anything can happen when you actually have to do Mount Horror.
Yeah, Mount Horror is an area most runners have seen in Randall, maybe. I feel like that is not something a lot of categories do either, or if they do, they just do a certain room to get the energy cell and that's it. But with that, Noxitu will be the first to approach that final dungeon, and yeah, I do believe that this is one of the cutscenes we actually don't get to see on Baron. Oh, I'm wrong. On Baron's side, we also saw that cutscene. Actually, never mind. We did not. So, no Kuro cutscene on either side. As Noxitu is making his way up, and as you mentioned, safety saves are a no-no. We have 1 energy, and we need to be very careful where to put it.
Yep, and we have a lot of options for that energy. I would probably personally just put it right here at the entry of the room or something. Oh my god, the snipe from the elemental snipes the banding, but the explosion still reaches the wall. Very nice here. And yeah, more lore here, as we actually have to watch the R1 cutscene. There are 2 ways to skip it. One is the door warp. Oh, that's banned. The other is game storage. Look at that, that's banned. So cutscene we watch and can then start working on these rooms here. R1 downwards and L1 downwards. Baron also in Mount Horror, just utilizing these elementals to slowly get up. Oh, cancels that bash a bit too early, but can manage to recover. And there's a death for Noxitu. Luckily for us, R1 cutscene saves, so we don't really have a problem with that. But still, these spikes are dangerous.
Yeah, and deaths on Horror, as you mentioned, can add up. And Baron actually starting with L1 instead of R1, but is roughly 50 seconds behind Noxitu, considering heading into the first room. And there's a death from Baron. Luckily, this is one of the smaller rooms, so not too much of a time loss, but yet again, the deaths do add up. So, yeah, takes another death, whereas Noxitu has already completed the first room, 7 to go. We'll need to get out of the room first. And, okay, got up, and Baron's still struggling with this room. This room can be quite annoying if you don't have a strategy on hand and planned, as he is trying to get up. Oh, did get the ledge this time and can complete the room just as Noxitu is entering it.
And Noxitu having dash will have it a little bit easy. Actually, I'm not even sure if that matters outside of having dash, but notably, Noxitu did not take a safety save. Gonna take a bit of a safer strat here, glide stalling while waiting for a mortar shot instead of immediately hitting the ledge. That did pay off. Baron actually taking another death here as he doesn't quite get an elemental shot caught. So Noxitu is exactly 1 R1 ahead of Baron right now as he has completed the entire upper row of horror. Let's see if we're gonna see any R2 shenanigans. I don't actually think the weird way of doing R2 is banned in selected restrictions where you just kill the first elemental 8 times instead of completing the entire room. But we're not gonna see that definitely. Instead we're gonna see normal bash fighting here. And no, I never even realized how annoying and complicated getting all these angles while also dodging the XP can be when you're not allowed to double bash.
Yeah, it's definitely something you need to be very cautious about. But Noxitu gets through, and we see the XP is still at 0, so still able to complete this run within the rules of the category, just as Baron is finishing his second room. So yeah, about 1 room off an advantage, and can now head towards L2 and do that. I do believe we will see quite some different strategies where Noxitu actually activates that laser, which is kind of dangerous because that big slime has a big XP as well, so needs to be very careful. We will probably see some waiting strats. Nope, actually the stone pushes the XP with it. Oh wow. Now can get it, and did go through no problem, so can head out of the room without collecting a single XP.
Alright, now Baron can exit R1, so Noxitu is now an entire level ahead, notably because the rooms on that second level are a lot shorter than on the first or third too. L3 and R3, 2 of the longest rooms coming up here, and we don't have any of the fancy ways of doing this, so instead we're gonna slowly just glide stall our way upwards as elementals and mortars shoot at us. And now that we're here, it is basically a done deal. Just need to wait for no, never mind, we actually have charge jump. This isn't Randoxem. And yeah, with that, L3 is done here for Noxitu. And hey, that means we get some joy because we still have an auto-scroller in our run.
Yep, we for sure do. But Baron, also having no problems with the elementals, gets up without anything as well. And Noxitu needs to make his way back. Can use some dash glides as well to get across a bit quicker, but needs to be careful. There's no platform there anymore, and gets through no problem and can go towards his next room as Baron is about to enter L2. And as I mentioned, I do believe he does do some other strats where he basically pushes over the slime, or tries to push it over and put it into the fire. Let's see for how long he will try to do that before deciding to do something else. Oh, gets it. And the slimes are following him, so no problem. So he is not activating the lasers because you can also stomp that one. So
and you can also stomp the rock and... Oh, that's XP! I saw that, Baron. You better take that right now. We're not letting you out of this race while having XP collected. Also, while that happened, Noxitu also took a pretty huge death after getting out of L3. Tried repeatedly to get a certain dash glide. It didn't want to, and then the dash glide sadly ended in lava. But with the death, Baron just took... Oh, there we go. Okay, I did not know that works. I'm gonna need him to teach me that, and that goes on my bingo board. But now this time we actually can go.
Believe
but yeah, was that XP?
Did he collect that? I'm not sure. We will have to see if he flashes up his energy bar, especially because there's an autosave there. Because if that is XP, he wouldn't need to have a backup save. So hopefully it wasn't, and we can do this without collecting any disgusting XP. Let's see. He does not flash his UI here. Of course, it's not really necessary because everything will one-shot you anyway. So knowing where your health is and how your energy is if you only have one isn't as important. But hopefully it is alright as Noxitu is heading up and will use that shot to get through there. Nicely done.
That's a beautiful setup going right. Don't pick it up. Don't pick it up. Don't pick it up.
No! Picked up some of it.
He just wants to show us this amazing setup again, I think.
Yeah,
absolutely. I really wanna see this again. Gets trolled by coyote frames. Thank you, Moon, for not allowing us to charge jump during coyote frames. Just get a sad normal jump, and this time the elemental isn't quite as nice anymore. So some more attempts here on this trick. Doesn't quite reach the elemental shot this time either. But hey, we've seen it once, and I'm sure we can see it again.
Yeah, and for us that just means that the race gets closer, which is always exciting, as Baron is, I think, one room behind currently. So if Noxitu takes some longer with that trick, and it is a hard trick as you can see, that might even things out even more. So, well, I don't know what I'm hoping for. I hope for runners to have a good time, but also to have a close race. But now he is through, the slime is far enough away, so he can activate the cutscene, and the autosave will take care of the rest.
The lava draining further and further here on Noxitu's side. Baron now completed level 3. Noxitu only has L4 left. One single room with some preview of the final escape. Here it's going to be lava instead of a bird chasing, however, as we get through this room. And hey, dash doesn't actually do anything here. It's just lanterns that we can bash off. And okay, I got a bit scared there on that stomp, but doesn't seem to be a problem. Dash is under the XP. You are braver than I would be in this category, Noxitu. And now, as the lava chases him, I swear, we're just not seeing it. It's off screen, but it is there. There we go. We have access to the lower L4, and as long as we don't take more than 1 damage here on the way to the pillar, that means Noxitu has completed his 8 rooms. Just needs to fight the mini-boss, not pick up the mini-boss XP. Nice synchronized lava drain, by the way. And then there's just one angry bird between him and the victory in this race.
Also, just as a side note, before watching both runners do 0 XP before, I did not know you could dash on the ground in L4, so great to know, especially if you didn't know. And here is the last challenge, not picking up XP from this mini-boss, because it can be really tricky as well. You need to be aware how much HP it has and which... Oh. Yeah, okay, he didn't collect it. It just floated to the complete other side. And Baron also running under the XP at the start of the chase will also have 0 XP, hopefully. I still didn't see a flash of his UI, so not entirely sure, but we are just hoping for the best as Noxitu is activating the final escape, and we all know that the final escape can troll you, so not quite over yet.
Major.
Yes?
I lied, the final Windows doesn't drop XP. Anyway, into the final escape we go. Noxitu now through the first two rooms can utilize dash to outrun the meteors into the lantern room. Now there's one more funny / interesting stuff going on here in the last segment, because hey, look at this, there is at the bottom not one but two entire piranhas here. Wait, we have bash. Never mind, we don't kill them, so there's no XP to dodge, and all that we need to do is not spawn Kuro here. Hey, that's not a glitch, there's just no trigger there. We jump over, do some bashes, and GG Noxitu, finishing out in like 105 or something. I swear I know how long this final cutscene takes.
Yeah, I think it's like 120 or something, so might be a 104, but don't quote me on that, as Baron is also now entering the final escape while Noxitu is holding right. I would assume that's not gonna go to waste to some Naru hops. Maybe we still get to see them, but I don't think they will make a difference, as let's hope Baron gets through this without any problem at all as well. So we have a close race closed out, and charge jumping of course does not have dash, so the timing is a bit more to worry about, but gets through it no problem. And the lantern room, of course not affected by dash, needs to stall out but can just double jump. What am I talking about? Noxitu gets swooped, and yeah, we'll have the decision to either do Naru hops or just walk straight to the right. Both are very much understandable, and I would support both of them, but I'm hoping for Naru hops, as Baron is in the swim and also can bash through, needs to be careful not to trigger Kuro, and is through the hard part as well, and no Naru hops. Noxitu will finish with a 104.47 GG, just as Baron crosses the finish line as well.
Baron gonna finish about one final cutscene behind. GG again, Noxitu. Also GG, Baron. There might have been some rust, but it was definitely a great showing. Getting a very nice iceless in the early game too, even if he didn't play the category for ages. And loving it. You know what? I vote for those tumbleweed strats.
Yeah, they are absolutely great. Like, both just showcased such nice strats, but yeah, that tumbleweed strat was something I have never seen, so that was really cool to see. Great to see. But Noxitu still wins regardless, but Baron has a win in our hearts. Especially with that iceless.
I mean, for you it's especially with the iceless. We all know my love for tumbleweeds. But in the end, as you mentioned, Noxitu also showing really, really great performance here from start to finish. Getting the dash, and yeah, it paid off for him. He did have some somewhat unfortunate deaths, but he has been just persistently going through it, just completing R4 exactly the way he intended to, even if it was a bit annoying as when the swarm said no, when the elemental didn't cooperate anymore. And yeah, that is the result. A sub 105 for Noxitu here. About a minute 20 faster than Baron. GG's again.
Yeah, GG's. I will go ahead and ask them if they want to join for a bit of a chat, or whether they are like, nah, we're good. Both would be understandable with a speedrun of over an hour. That can kind of fry your brain, especially if you know that it is a race. Would be understandable either way, but a great showcase from both runners, especially seeing the differences in routes. Like, with most other speedruns, you don't get to see that different routes, especially like that early on. So really cool to see how small the differences are.
Yeah, I mean, an entire skill of a difference, right? The dash versus no dash, and it's just 30 seconds apart, according to Baron. So, and then we saw quite a few other route divergences too. Love to see that, especially when it's kinda somewhat up to personal preference and the run isn't quite as optimized that you actually have to fight for half seconds yet. That is always great to see. And speaking of great to see, I see Baron being on deck. So, hey Baron, GG's on the run.
Thanks.
GG. Great showcase. So you said before that ice lace took you 7 minutes in the first try. How happy were you to get it that quickly in this run?
It was pretty good. I had to wait a little bit for the slime, just to be safe, but being safe is important.
Yeah, definitely. So did you see the time of Noxitu and what did you think about that? Do you think he's a good runner for the category? Are you proud of him?
Look, I was going into the final escape saying, "Come on, Nox, you can finish now." The fact that he finished as I was getting into the end cutscene was great.
Yes, that was great timing to see.
It was actually really interesting, especially with some early troubles, but also the route divergence. We had quite a few lead changes throughout the entire thing. So, Baron, remember to watch this back afterwards.
I definitely
so,
will.
how are you feeling about the whole dash versus no dash thing, especially right now? I know on perfect execution, the dash is supposed to be 30 seconds slower, but any thoughts about just doing it in a race setting or in general a no reset setting?
I mean, it's realistically how you feel about it. A lot of people love dash, so I've done my best to try and make it as fast as the no dash route. It's pretty darn close, and you've seen how massive one mistake can cost you time. So, realistically speaking, it's do as you please. You can go dash, or you can not go dash. That's up to you.
Yeah, that's great to see, especially in a speedrun when you can decide, and it's basically no difference, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, one question about enemies that might be a bit annoying. The Horu slime. I don't actually know what the community name of these is. I just call them Big Mama. Like the Big Mama in the spinning laser room kept trolling you. Were you a bit annoyed at it, but at the end you could push it through, or were you just like happy to show it off several times?
I knew because of the fact I didn't have energy to save there that it was either going to go right or go wrong, and I missed the platform with my stomp. So I tried to back up, and then I dummied into that XP with a stomp. So
Yeah, quite unfortunate that you had to take that death. And I do believe Xem has a question about a certain tumbleweed.
Do I have a question? Alright, I actually have a question. How did you name your dear friend who was still there after you had to suffer through an entire Sunstone cutscene for you as you went down?
he's just Rock Friend. He doesn't have an official name. I'll let someone else have that honor.
Xem?
Oh, what? Don't put me on the spot, but definitely a big friend. Baron, we just had a great advertisement for the category, but wanna chill for the category a bit more here after the race?
I mean, Zero XP is a pretty darn fun category. It has enough downtime so that you can take short breaks, which is not common in every platformer. But it also has interesting challenges. We won't call them necessarily super fast tricks, but it is quite execution heavy still, despite the fact that you're going through the game in a more normalistic way. I mean, I specifically went and grabbed myself a cup of milk when I was at Sunstone cutscene because I was thirsty.
Okay, that is actually great to hear. Sam was cracking some jokes about all the things you can do. Take a shower, grab your breakfast, or whatever you want, and then still have half the thing to watch. So it's great to see that you actually did some of the stuff.
Yeah, I mean, gotta use the time efficiently.
Fair enough.
Alright, Jill, got any more questions?
Nah, I'm good.
Alright, then, well, Baron, thank you for racing. Noxitu, if you're in chat or if you're watching this back, thank you for racing, and GG again on the win here today. And thank you all for watching. Hey, Richard, thanks for the great live advice before the race as well as the restream here. Always great to have you. And what more Ori action do we have coming up? I know one thing, next week at noon UTC, I have a bingo run with a very interesting board coming up on Bingothon. Jill, anything else happening here?
I do not have anything planned, but if all of you, have something you want to showcase, hit me up and I will try to find some people to get to do that. So, yeah. Until then, maybe see you next week on Bingothon and, of course, around in the community.
Yeah, thanks for showcasing 0xP. I know I'm the one who clambers about it the most, but it was great to be here, and thanks Noxitu for racing, and congrats on winning.